Johnny, the most popular Mickey in Anaheim is not a mouse. It's an angel. The Angels take game one from the Sox last night, and we're going to talk about how they did it. It's time to get locked on with Mike and John, and this is Locked On Angels.
You are Locked On Angels, your daily Los Angeles Angels podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And we thank you for making Locked On Angels your first listen of the day. You can find us anywhere you get your podcast, including Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and on SiriusXM. You just have to search Locked On Angels. And the best way to help us out is by giving us a rate and a review. And if you're watching on YouTube, hello, we're glad you're here. Make sure that you're subscribed and click the bell to be notified every time a new episode drops. And today's show is brought to you by the Game Time app. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use this code, LOCKEDONMLB. You'll get $20 off your first purchase. Last-minute tickets, lowest prices, guaranteed.
Thank you for being here for this episode of Locked On Angels, where it's your team every day. You've got the Frisch Brothers here with you, a.k.a. the Super Halo Bros. My name is John, and that's my brother Mike.
And my name is Mike, and that's my brother John.
Mike, it's our second season here at Locked On Angels, and we're happy to be talking Angels baseball Monday through Friday, every single weekday here with you on the number one daily Los Angeles Angels podcast. On today's show, we need a solution for Aaron Loup, my friend. We're going to talk about that. And we've put together the best roster right now for the Halos. But first, Mike, let's talk about the big win on Monday night. Game one against the Red Sox. The Angels took that one 2-1. Let's talk about it.
And oh, Mickey, he's so fine. He played a beautiful game, and I love having him in that leadoff spot. We talked about it yesterday, Johnny. And here he is again, playing the hero in this game. Man, that trade's looking pretty good right now. I loved Marsh, but man, I'm loving Mickey Moniak, and I'm loving that he has a fresh start and a new story. He hit his third home run in the 8th inning. It was tied 1-1, and he hits a shot to right field. And as soon as he hit it, you knew that it was out. It was an 83-mile-an-hour off-speed pitch, kind of in a meatball zone, and he crushed it, did exactly what you're supposed to do with that pitch. And the Angels get the victory. And it was one of those games, Johnny, that for me, it felt different. It felt like the Angels were not going to blow this. And I don't know if they're just riding high with confidence. I don't know if it's because they come off of a series victory against the Twins. But right now, as of this recording, they've won 4 of 5, Johnny. And it's been against really good teams. And speaking of good, I loved the move having Jaime Barria start this game, right?
Absolutely, yeah. He made his first start since August 6th, 2021 in game one of a doubleheader at Seattle. He made 55 starts for the Angels between 2018 and 2021. Mike, my friends and I were on our way to Giants Angels at the Big A when Jaime Barria was in his rookie season, and he had that epic foul ball duel with Brandon Belt of the Giants, where it set the record for a major league game for most pitches seen in an at-bat. So we were late, and we got there at the bottom half of the first inning because that top half went so long. So we got there on time. So that was because of the Jaime Barria, Brandon Belt.
Thought you were going to miss something, and you didn't miss anything. Thank you, Brandon Belt and Jaime Barria.
That's right. Mike, he looked absolutely incredible in this one. 5 innings pitched, 0 runs, 2 hits, 6 Ks, no walks.
That's huge.
34% called strike plus swing, so CSW plus a whiff rate. 34% on that.
Love
he had a 1.61 ERA and a 3.04 FIP in 28 innings this year. He only went 5 because he wasn't stretched out as a starter quite yet, but he has earned the second start, and you can imagine that he'll get to go a little bit deeper. I mean, everybody wanted to see him go further into this game the way he was pitching, but Gooey kept talking about his arm action on the broadcast. Here's what that means. You can't tell what pitch is coming because the arm motion and the slot is consistent. So whether it's a fastball or a changeup, his arm is in the exact same slot, but you don't know which pitch it's going to be. Is it going to be the 92-mile-an-hour fastball or the 81-mile-an-hour changeup? And I mentioned that on our Twitter page at Locked On Angels on Twitter, that he was, one, throwing the slider away, which was great, the changeup down, which was great, and then at the top of the zone, or kind of outside, he was getting guys to swing at his changeup off the fastball. So he'd put the fastball in one spot of the zone, and then he'd throw a changeup in the same area of the zone. And again, you don't know if it's going to be that 80-mile-an-hour changeup or that 90-something mile-an-hour fastball. So he had guys off their timing and off balance all night, and that's really how he got through those 5 innings so successfully.
Yeah, and what this did, having him start, is it moved Silseth into the bullpen, and we saw Devenski and Silseth get the final 11 outs and looked fantastic, and they saved Matt Moore and Carlos Estevez from having to come into this game, and that's what you need, Johnny. We need that bridge, and I'm thinking that maybe perhaps with Maranta involved in that, we've got a really strong rebuilt bullpen, and we didn't have to go and spend some big money or trade away anybody. We were able to build it through free agency. We were able to build it through minor league guys, and then some of those guys that really are top prospects. Now, that's the good news from last night. I have a complaint, Johnny. I've got a complaint.
Hit me.
But I also have a solution, and the solution's going to come in the next segment.
Okay.
But my complaint is Aaron Loup poop. Man,
Yes.
that guy. Listen, I don't want anybody to ever lose their job. I love our team. I love our players. And when they said that he was coming back, both you and I grunted and sighed, and
we were ready for the inevitable blowpen game, right?
Yeah, we were. And so I'm thankful that this wasn't it. Now, Loup comes in when I saw that Barria was only going to go 5, and then they had Loup already warming up. Everybody kind of rolled their eyes. So he comes in and he gives up the first run of the game. Barria would have won this game if Loup hadn't have come into the game, and he took away the win from Barria. He only went 3 batters, which I was grateful for. He got 3 ground balls, which Jeff Fletcher on Twitter was like, hey, 3 ground balls. And then he said, but 2 were hits. And so he's Aaron Loup, right? And it seems like the type of guy that you just can't trust. And even when they came in after that 3rd batter and Nevin pulled him, I just didn't like the facial expression, and I didn't like the body language. It just looked like what Ryan Tepera looked like when Tepera gave up that home run before he was DFA'd. There's almost I don't know if it's just personal frustration. I don't know if it's just being mad at himself because he's not performing, but there was something about him last night, and maybe it's my bias, but something about him last night that I just didn't like when I saw in his posture. And then coming into the game, I didn't see anything that was different about Aaron Loup. I saw the same Aaron Loup that we've seen before. Maybe he got a little bit more of a ground ball rate than a fly ball rate, but I didn't see too much difference. Did you?
Let me talk to you for a minute here.
Okay.
Now, Connor Wong comes in, gets a double down the left field line, the third base line. Mike, the expected batting average on that, 230.
Okay.
Alex Verdugo comes in and gets a ground out, and that was all due to Zach Neto having an awesome play and getting it to Walsh. Thank goodness Walsh is back, because his play over at first base, he had an incredible diving stop earlier in the game, and then that extension that he gets when he reaches out for the throw from Neto was more than important. So, Mike, the ground out had a 330 expected batting average.
Okay.
And Yoshida comes in and gets a 0.05, so 50 expected batting average, 0.50. Unlucky. And I understand that is not an excuse, but here's what I'm getting at. They're going to try him again because it was unlucky. Yeah. And that's the unfortunate thing. I put out a Twitter poll. I said, Aaron Loup, same old, unlucky or look better than before? Well, about 7.5% said look better, 20% said unlucky, and about 72% said same old. And that's really
I love
what it is.
Twitter.
And Mike, that's the thing that's frustrating about this situation is that, number one, it felt like Perry Minasian really wanted Phil Nevin to get Aaron Loup into the game.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Am I wrong there?
No, it felt like that was the decision that he was required to make going into this game. There wasn't going to be any other option.
They warmed up Devenski. They warmed up Devenski right behind him on purpose because it's like, all right, dude, here's your short leash.
Yeah.
And now I don't think that Aaron Loup is going to get quite the same treatment as Ryan Tepera because of how unlucky he was in this inning.
Yeah.
So now we're in for another treat of Aaron Loup. Everyone said, well, he knows he's going to be DFA'd after this game. I don't think so.
No, I agree with you.
Because of the unlucky nature of his outing. I mean, you really can't put the blame on his performance in that one. But again, it's going back to he gave up the lead. He gave up. Now it's 1-1, and it's Aaron Loup's fault yet again. I don't care if there was luck or not. But the Angels front office is going to care that there was luck and unluck involved in that one.
Well,
so
and
that's going to be a problem.
What needed to happen was that Loup would come in and get 1, 2, 3. He needed to get 1, 2, 3. I can't
Agreed.
remember the last time that he's done that in a game that matters, if he's done that in any game this year.
Yeah.
And he needed to get 3 outs in a row and not have Chris Devenski come in, give Chris a clean inning. So, hey, he came in and actually got that final out, which was fantastic, and held them to a 1-1 tie. But quite honestly, like, baseball has a high percentage of performance, but it also has a somewhat of a percentage for luck, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we know that you can be lucky and you can be unlucky. And what I felt last night was this team was shifting into we're getting lucky again. We're getting confident again. And that's why I'm just really not a fan of Aaron Loup, because he still feels like the residuals of last year.
Old guard.
It does. Yeah. It feels like old guard. And I think it's time to move forward. I mean, I think he's really a waste of a roster spot.
Yeah.
When we've already proven that guys like Silseth and Moniak and Neto, these young guys can come up and perform. So why bring somebody in and go, okay, hopefully this is going to work.
This is it.
Right. And I think that's terrible management. And to those fans that have been frustrated with Phil Nevin, I can understand why they would be frustrated in this moment. I think you're correct, though, because I think there was a requirement of, like, let's bring him in after Jaime Barria, but then you have a guy already warming up, so you know
what's the
that
point?
They're just not confident in that. So what's the point?
You know what? It's nice to walk away from that game with a win. The Angels are 26-23. They're back at it tonight against the Red Sox at the Big A, 6:38 Pacific time. It's Griffin Canning on the mound, who's 2-2 so far this season. Man, you know what I was reminded of last night? And Sarah Valenzuela, who just started covering the Angels last year, said, wow, there's a lot of cheers for the Red Sox in this moment when Matt Weiss grounded out into a double play. I just remember how much I hate the Red Sox. I hated them in the mid-2000s.
Yep.
And even though they're not great and they're not somebody who bothers us, I still hate them. I hate the Red Sox. Good. I hate that the fans come out and show up at the Big A. It's like, you know what? Just because you won back when you decided to bandwagon in 2004 and you're still a fan and you live in Orange County.
This is the whole show, John. This is a whole show.
Sorry. Hey, well, listen, you can catch every pitch of the Angels Hometown broadcast on the Sirius XM app, SXM app. All you got to do is search Angels. Coming up on Locked On Angels, we have a solution about Aaron Loup, and we also are going to give the Angels best roster options right now in just a minute.
Locked On Angels is brought to you by So Rare. If you haven't played this game, you should. It's fantastic. It's a revolutionary fantasy baseball game and marketplace, and it's transforming fans into owners with officially licensed digital cards featuring players from across all MLB teams. Unlike other fantasy platforms, So Rare managers truly own their fantasy experience. You're buying, collecting, selling, and competing with player cards against global opponents. One of those opponents is Lindsey Crosby from Locked On Prospects. He's actually really good at this game, so maybe you can learn some things from him. Win or lose, you still own your cards. There's no cost to play. Plus, the more you win, the more you advance. You can collect increasingly powerful cards. You can access next level competitions and rewards. So head to sorare.com/lockedon. That's spelled SORARE.com. You can draft your team of free player cards, set your lineup, and start competing today to win really great rewards. Again, that's sorare.com/lockedon. Start playing today.
We want to thank you for making Locked On Angels your first listen today. Locked On Everydayers join us every day this week as we recap each and every game in this Red Sox series and get your questions in for Fan Mail Friday. Angels are back at it against the Red Sox tonight at 6:38 p.m. I won't go on a Red Sox rant this time. You can catch every pitch of the Angels hometown broadcast with SiriusXM on the SXM app. All you got to do is search Angels.
Johnny, I'm one who doesn't complain and not bring a solution. So I'm going to bring a solution to you about Aaron Loup, okay?
I'm glad you said that second part because I was like, yeah, you do. You complain.
You're not supposed to share all of my secrets on the pod. I just want to stop pretending that Loup is good. That's what I want to stop pretending. So I want to share what I think we should do. Let me share some stats with you at first. So entering into last night's game, Angel relievers led Major League Baseball in inherited runners scored.
Shocked.
So 52% of their inherited runners scored. The league average is 34. So 52, 34. So we're 10th in MLB with 71 inherited runners on base when a reliever enters. So it shows that we are inheriting more runners than 66% of the teams. We're allowing 18% more inherited runners to score than they should. And this is just a result of, I think, really tight games. We haven't been able to come through in some moments where we could maybe have add-on runs. So God bless Mickey Moniak. I love that. And so keeping all of that in mind, I want to throw a left-handed guy, a pitcher, out to you that's in the minor leagues right now.
Hit me.
His name is Kolton Ingram.
Yes, sir.
He's on the 40-man.
Yep.
He's a middle of the innings bullpen guy. Again, he's a lefty. Here's what the numbers show, Johnny. With runners on, Ingram has not given up a hit. All of the hits that he's given up this year have come with the bases empty.
I like
and
that,
he has
Mike.
a high swing and miss rate, 19 Ks in 16 innings. 5 of the 13 games that he's pitched in, he's gone more than 1 inning, so that would be great for our bullpen, right? It's not 3 guys and then you're out and we're already warming somebody up, right? And so we need this at the major league level. Now, I want to get your thoughts on this, but I do want to have complete honesty on this show, all right?
Okay,
Full of integrity. Ingram has walked a lot of batters.
Okay.
16 in 16 and a third.
Okay.
Now, 11 of those came in 3 games back to back to back.
Okay.
So only 3 2/3 innings, he really, really struggled with walks. In 11 1/3 innings, he's only walked 5.
Okay.
So with runners in scoring position, Johnny, here's where the numbers are really interesting.
Yeah, I'm interested.
He's faced 25 batters, has not given up a hit. He has walked 9.
Okay.
But those 9 came in that 3-game span back in April.
Right.
He's improved dramatically since then. So that means that he's gotten 16 of those batters out when he has had runners in scoring position. His best innings are the 5th, the 6th inning, and the 8th inning. I love that because that's when we need some of the best help in the major leagues, right?
Absolutely.
And why I think Ingram is good, he's a great replacement for Loup because he can go longer than Aaron Loup. He's got better swing and miss potential than Aaron Loup. And he's somebody who has really improved since the beginning of this year. He hasn't regressed. He's actually grown. He's up and to the right. So, Johnny, what do you think about my solution to the Aaron Loup poop situation?
The stat that jumps out to me is the fact that he is so good with the bases empty, right?
Yeah.
Like he's coming in to these games and getting guys out, and walks are going to happen, Mike.
Yeah.
Especially with relievers, you're going to see a walk here and there. But the fact that, man, runners in scoring position, 25 batters face, 0 hits, 9 walks, and they all came in that 3-game span. To me, that says you're not giving up the hit that's going to score the run. Yes, you might move a runner from second to third, or maybe there's a runner on second and first base is open, so you can pitch a little bit more risky in that situation.
Yeah.
And it goes to show that he can pitch risky because he has swing and miss stuff. The emphasis that the Angels have put on the pitchers this season is the swing and miss stuff. Aaron Loup talked to Sam Blum of The Athletic about this and said that he's not been a swing and miss guy. He relies on that fastball, that sinker to get guys out. And that's a great approach. You can get guys to ground out. We saw it with Jaime Barria throwing the changeup down on the ground or the slider down and away. You can get guys to ground out and trust guys like Zach Neto behind you. At the same time, you've got to be able to induce those ground outs. And Aaron Loup has not been able to do that. Now, maybe last night, again, the expected batting average on that stuff was pretty low. They were on the ground, but they were unlucky. And that's the way it goes. And I just don't think that he has it anymore. I think we're better off trying somebody new, somebody who's part of the future of the Halos, and somebody who really deserves to be here. Another thing, Mike, get him away from the sticky baseballs in Double-A.
Yes.
Am I right? Because we can see that these guys have the potential to come up and really make an impact. And if Kolton Ingram is simply in the bullpen and being that lefty that we need out of the pen for those middle innings, I'm all for it, especially the fact that he can go multiple innings back to back. I think that's very helpful. It only helps your case to be part of this team. Like I said before, Aaron Loup is old guard. It's time to move on. It's time to inject some youth and excitement, and the Angels have the ability to do that with Kolton Ingram.
Locked On Angels is brought to you by the Game Time app. With the Game Time app, buying tickets to all of the sports, music, comedy, and theaters is fast and easy. This app offers great deals on last-minute tickets and gives their best price guarantee. On the Game Time app, you can buy tickets in a matter of seconds, 2 taps and you're set. And you can see the images of where your seats are at when you buy, so you know exactly what to expect when you arrive. And you can discover the lowest price guarantee and even get event cancellation protection. The tickets are sent directly to your phone. You have to dig through emails to try to find them. So grab the tickets without all the stress with the Game Time app. And you can download the app today. You can create an account and then use our code LOCKEDONMLB, and you'll get $20 off your first purchase. So there are some terms that do apply, but again, you can create an account today and then redeem this code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Last minute tickets, lowest prices, guaranteed.
All right, Mike, we're talking about building the best roster for the Halos right now. So who's on our roster? Well, you and I put our heads together, and we're going to share that with our Locked On Angels listeners and viewers. We'd also love your opinion as well. And if you have any suggestions on who you'd like to see, you can comment below on YouTube, or you can tweet at us at Locked On Angels or at Super Halo Bros. If you're listening on the audio side, come on over to YouTube, join the conversation. We'd love to hear you. Mike, there's some obvious choices on the roster, of course, who are going to stay. Your Trouts, your Ohtanis. I think the rotation stays the same with Anderson, Sandoval, Detmers, Canning, and Ohtani. If Jaime Barria was on the wire, he is no longer on the wire. I think that he's got his feet firmly planted in that 6th starter spot. Obviously, Rendon, when he comes back, Jared Walsh, Hunter Renfroe, Drury, Urshela, Matt Thaiss, and Chad Wallach are doing great as the catching tandem. And then in the bullpen, Mike, Matt Moore and Carlos Estevez, you got to have those guys. And Zach Neto at shortstop is the obvious choices of guys who are staying. Mike, my maybes, but I'm going to keep them. Not because they don't deserve to be on the team, but because of how I want to see them used. Obviously, Mickey Moniak is staying because he's on fire. Chris Devenski has been great out of the pen. I still want to see more of Reyes Maranta, but I think that he's going to be a great option. Chase Silseth in the bullpen. He proved last night that he can do great out of there. He got the save by getting 6 outs. And again, Jaime Barria staying in the rotation. Mike, I've got a few ifs.
Okay.
And they're Taylor Ward, Luis Rengifo, Tucker Davidson, Livan Soto, Jacob Webb, and of course, Aaron Loup. So there's 6 spots to kind of fill out here while Anthony Rendon is out. Mike, one of our ifs, Taylor Ward. Let's talk about it.
Yeah, who would have thought that Taylor Ward would be an if right now, right? Because last year at this time, he was really performing well. And then when the losing streak happened, everything kind of fell apart for him.
Let me just say, too, that Taylor Ward being an if isn't necessarily like, I don't want him on this team. It's There's a lot of people who think that he could use time in AAA and whatnot. But I think I think you and I want to stick with him for a couple of reasons here, right?
Yeah. So I think that the best move for this roster is to split time with Ward and with Moniak. Ward does have better splits, Johnny, against righties, but Moniak is hitting righties really well
even better
right now, right? I mean, the guy has just been on fire. And I actually think that it would be a wise decision to move Taylor Ward out of the leadoff spot.
Yes, agreed.
I think Mickey Moniak has actually earned that. And so maybe Taylor Ward slots to maybe the 4th outfielder and isn't playing as much, right? Because I think Moniak has really earned the opportunity. When Ward is in the lineup, I also think that we can move Zach Neto to the leadoff spot
because Moniak wouldn't be in the lineup leading off in that case.
Right. And Neto, even though he hasn't necessarily been drawing a lot of walks, Neto has been really effective at moving runners over, and he got hit last night, so that's helping the on-base percentage as well, right? But, John, it's been interesting to see Ward's on-base percentage drop this season, hasn't it?
Yeah, he's got a 303, which is below his 2022 total of 360 on-base percentage. Look, Mike, Ward's biggest issue right now is swinging on pitches outside of the zone and making poor swinging decisions. And so if I'm not going to make it his job to get on in front of Trout and Ohtani, I'm giving him one job to think about.
Okay.
Make contact.
Love it.
That's all I want from him.
Yeah.
In fact, if you go back to early May, the 2nd through the 6th, he bat in the order 7th, 6th, and 4th. And here's what happened in those 21 plate appearances. He had 3 runs scored, 7 hits, 1 double, 1 home run, 4 RBIs, only 3 Ks. Mike, here's his slash line. He hit 350 average, a 333 on base, a 550 slugging, and an 883 OPS. So I think moving Ward down to 6, 7, whatever, gives him the one job of making contact and making good contact.
Yeah.
He doesn't have to worry about chasing things out of the zone. He's got to wait for that pitch right down the middle. Don't worry about the walk. Just hit as best you can, because we all know he can hit when he makes contact, and he makes good decisions at the plate.
I think another guy that we should keep, Johnny, is Luis Rengifo, because of his versatility. He's a great guy that can come in. He can play against lefties because he's batting right. I think that we can pinch hit with Luis Rengifo against lefty relievers, and then he can take over the infield position if needed, right?
Looked great at third last night.
He actually looked really great at third base. He's got a 265 batting average against lefties, 195 against righties. And here's the thing that has shifted a bit for him this year, and maybe many people haven't noticed it, but he's walked a whole lot more. And so you're seeing that he is really growing in his awareness of the strike zone, and he's stolen some bases, which I think is really good. So I like that he is the versatile piece on this bench. Another versatile piece that maybe we thought would be a versatile piece, but is really kind of a question right now, is Tucker Davidson. Johnny, talk about him.
Yeah, I had considered just cutting him loose because he wasn't getting it done. But I actually reconsidered that, because I would rather have him in the 2022 Jaime Barria role, where he's taking multiple innings in a game where maybe the starter doesn't go very long, like we saw with Patrick Sandoval, who was sick on Saturday, really struggled out there, right?
Yeah.
I think that Tucker Davidson could take over that. And if his starter's pulled early, if they're way behind, it's 6-2 or whatever, you just need a guy to get you through the innings and save the bullpen. I think that's Tucker Davidson. I think he can do that because, Mike, number one, you can see how that success would translate as a starter. If he comes in and cleans up 3 or 4 innings in a row, he gets clean innings each time. It's all on him. You can test out that starter ability, but no high leverage situations for Tucker Davidson, please.
Yeah. Now, I know we just mentioned Kolton Ingram in the last segment, but there is another lefty in AA that actually is really, really good. And then there's a righty in AA that's actually really, really good.
That's right.
And I think, Johnny, we should save them from the dumb sticky tack ball.
Yes, 100%.
and just bring them up. Would you talk about Eric Torres real quick and talk about Ben Joyce?
Listen, last time out, Eric Torres had quite a stinker. But before that game, he had 5 scoreless appearances in a row. He gave up 1 run on April 29th. And before that, 4 scoreless appearances in a row. Mike, he's got 55% strikes swinging and looking with 65 batters faced. And he's got a 133 average against lefties. And then, here we go. Everybody's calling for it. I'm ready to bring up Ben Joyce, Mike. Save him from the sticky baseball in AA. And here's what stands out to me. He's got an average against of 136. He's got a 217 BABIP. That's batting average on balls in play. So contact that's made against him when hitters are hitting his pitches, it's defensible, right? The infielders behind him can get those guys out. So a 217 BABIP is really strong there. We got to talk about the walk rate because it's going to happen. Like I said with relievers, they're going to walk people. Right now, he's giving up 8.5 walks per 9. So every 9 innings, you can expect about 8.5 walks. So it's slightly less than 1 walk per inning. However, his K rate is 14.2 per 9 innings. So
unreal.
Multiple Ks per inning. He recently had a 2-inning game where he gave up 1 hit and struck out 3. So he's showing that ability to go 2 innings in a row. The concern with Ben Joyce is not having him go back-to-back days.
Yes.
But I think if we make these changes, they could be really successful for him. Finally, we got to talk about your boy, Livan Soto, Mike.
Yeah, Soto, I would keep Soto on this team until Rendon comes back. I really
Yeah.
like him, and I think he likes playing in the major leagues because he's
Mhm.
really been great in the major leagues. Lefty bat, got a good glove for the infield. I think him and Rengifo could battle for that versatile position.
Mhm.
And I think if Rengifo can actually perform, then I could see the Angels moving to Livan Soto. And I would love to give him a chance as often as we can in the major leagues because he has really shown to rise to the occasion.
Absolutely. And going back to Rengifo, he's out of options. And
Yeah.
so in order to maintain the depth that the Angels need and have the ability to go to, Livan Soto will be the odd man out once Rendon returns. But it doesn't mean that the story's over for Soto, because every time he comes to the majors, he has a lot of success. I'd love to see more of him. I'd love to give him more chances out there. So in the time before Rendon comes back, let's give Livan Soto another at-bat or 2 or 3.
Thanks for making Locked On Angels your first listen today. The Angels play the Red Sox tonight at 6:38 Pacific time. They're in Anaheim. Home game. Love that. They're going to try to take the second game of this series. Actually, take the series. You can catch every pitch of this Angels game, the hometown broadcast, with Sirius XM on the SXM app. Just search Angels.
Hey, give us a follow at Locked On Angels on Twitter and at Super Halo Bros on Twitter and Instagram. We'd love to hear from you. So again, comment below on YouTube if you're watching there. If you're on the audio side, come on over to today's show and comment below. We'd love to hear your roster moves. Maybe some of you would bring up Joe Adell, which is not a bad idea in my opinion, but we love seeing him crush it in the minors right now. Hey, Mike, what do we have on deck for tomorrow's show?
Okay.
Oh,
you ready?
wow.
You ready for this?
Okay.
We're going to have our Super Halo Brothers Ohtani hot takes tomorrow,
Yes. Oh,
which means that the comments are going to be disabled. No,
Yes.
we're actually going to bring some hot takes, some thoughts, unfiltered thoughts about Shohei Ohtani. We love him. We're glad he's on our team. We want him to be here forever, but we're going to share some unfiltered thoughts about what we think will happen with Shohei Ohtani's contract. We have no insider information, just so you know. So this isn't somebody inside telling us this. This is just our fan-guided wisdom telling you what we think will happen, and that's tomorrow on Locked On Angels.
I'm looking forward to that conversation. We hope you are too. Until then, my name is John, and that's my brother Mike.
And my name is Mike, and that's my brother John.
Thanks for being here with us for this episode of Locked On Angels, and we'll see you right back here tomorrow.